Hello everyone. So today we're going to be doing our Chickadee painting. So what I'll do, I took a picture of the sketch, so I'll post it on my feed, and you'll be able to see that and kind of take your time and do your little kind of sketch before you get started. So I'll start with my paint. I'm using acrylic paint, Liquitex Basics. I have my titanium white, my Mars black, cadmium yellow deep. I have a green, let's see the color. This green is a deep green permanent. Then we have our burnt umber and our burnt sienna. So those are the colors I'll be using. So as long as, if you don't have the same brand, you want a white, a black, a brown. If you have a reddish brown, that's good too. A green and a yellow. So you can do everything with those colors. And as for brushes, I'm going to be using my 1/2 inch flat brush, my 1/4 inch flat brush, and I have a couple smaller ones. I have this small angle brush. It's a little small number 2 Liquitex Basics angle brush. And I have a small round brush. This is a number 4 round. So if you have something, a small round brush, that'll do it too. And that's about it. You'll just need a little cup of water or a basin of water as well. I also have a hair dryer handy, so you may want to have a hair dryer as well. So first thing I'm going to do is my background. So guys, for our background, we're actually going to mix, it's going to be a mixture of yellow, brown, white, and maybe even a little bit of black with that. So let me just get myself situated. Okay. So I've wet my brush. I'm going to take just a little bit of white paint kind of out into the center of my plate, and a hint of green and a little bit of yellow. And finally we're going to add a little bit of our dark brown, our burnt umber. So I'm just trying to get kind of a mossy, maybe a little bit of our burnt sienna, kind of a mossy green color. That'll do our background. So I'm using pretty much all my browns and my green and my yellow. And we're just going to start brushing in our background. I'm going to come close to my pencil line. I may go over it a little bit. If you guys use chalk, that's okay. Whatever you want to use to do your sketch. Most of these lines will end up being covered anyway. Legs right here. I'm just gonna fill in my background with these colors. And I'm gonna come as close to my sketch as I can. Probably gonna go over that pencil line. And I'm not gonna worry about it because I know where it is. Everything is going to get covered eventually. As I move down my canvas, oh sorry, I forgot to tell you guys, I'm using an 11 by 14 canvas panel. You don't have to have a canvas panel. You can use a stretch canvas if you want, and you don't have to use an 11 by 14. If you want to go bigger, you can. If you want to do it on a square canvas, you can. So you see, as I start coming down, I'm getting a little darker. So I'm just going to do a little more green and brown. And that's helping us keep that mossy color. If I just use brown, it's not going to, or sorry, if I just use my green, it's going to be really bright, and we're not kind of going for the real vibrant. For this one, we want a little more mossy color. So to get that, you add a little brown to your green. finish around here. I've drawn the branch that he's sitting on as well. So back to our top where we started with our top, a little more white and a little yellow. And notice how I'm not over brushing. I'm leaving my little brush marks in my paint. All of our colors, I just give a little dip in my cup of water. So it's our white, our green, a little bit of yellow, and a bit of our browns. And I'm not worried if I'm getting the exact same shade as I started with, because everything just kind of mixes together on our canvas. Some spots are a little more yellowy, some spots maybe a little more brown. I'm going to get in as close as I can to my sketch, but again, not worrying about, especially going over our branch, because we're going to paint that black later anyway. And it'll cover up all those little messy edges. Same with his foot that's holding the branch. I'm going to come in over that a little bit because again, we're going to paint that black later, so we'll fix all that up after. A little darker as we get near the bottom of our canvas, a little deeper. Same with down here. So I always tell everyone, once you kind of fill your background in, kind of just go back, have a look at it, see where you want to add in anything else. I'm just going to take another little touch of my green and brown together. I'm just going to go back and deepen this up a little bit more. Alrighty, so that looks good for our background. So I'm just going to give that brush a little rinse. And I'm going to take just black next and do one coat on the branch that he's holding. So still with my 1/2 inch flat brush, I'm going to give a little dip in my water. I'm going to take a little bit of black paint and see how I'm just getting it a little bit runny there. Just a little thinned out, just so it glides on our canvas better. We need a base for that branch. And if you have your paint a nice consistency, you should be able to smooth it right on like that. More black. I'm going to come right out to my edge. And if we make our branch a little kind of wiggly on the edge, that's okay. I'm going to go over my pencil line for his foot there. And I'll just paint that back on later. A little more black. Alrighty, so I'm just going to throw that brush in my cup of water. I'm going to move to my 1/2 inch flat brush and just black paint again, guys. And we're going to do our black parts in on our bird. So just black on my my 1/4 inch flat brush. And he gets a little beak. If you're not comfortable with the bigger brush for that, switch to a smaller one. It will help you make a smaller line. Just black paint. I'm going to come down under. He gets a little black piece under his neck area, or what we'll call the neck. And he's going to get a black eye, but I'm just going to leave that for now. And I'm kind of flicking my brush out because he's feathered, so he gets a little kind of fluff coming off his head. And we're going to kind of come down, and I'm going to make a little wider here because he's got a wing that's kind of tucked behind his nice round belly. So he's got a little wing that's back here. So I'm overlapping on my background there. So it's kind of outside of our pencil line and just come out a little. He's got a little wing that's just tucked back behind his belly there. And he's got a little hint of one on this side too. More black, still using just my black paint. Leaving all my edges, see how they're kind of fuzzy? They're not a perfect flat straight edge because he's all feathers. So he's kind of fuzzy all over. I'm going to give that brush a little rinse. And we're going to start doing the feathers on his cheek and belly. So for a chickadee, it's mostly white, and then when you come around the outside edge, I'll say around here, we add a little gray just to darken, and a hint of brown too. Same with up here, we'll do a little hint of brown. So first thing, still with this small flat brush, just white paint to start. And I'll come on this side, and guys, our black is still wet, so if it drags in a little, it's good. I'm gonna leave it. And I'm just gonna kind of use little short brush strokes so you can see where that gray is just kind of pulling out from our black. That's because our black is still wet. So leave that, it's good. It helps with our shading. More white. And I'm just going to kind of fill in his belly with a kind of a quick coat of white paint first. Once we get our white, then we'll start adding in our darker colors. Little short brush strokes with the edge of my brush, guys. And as we come over along the side where our wing is tucked back, we're in white, and I'm just going to take a little hint of black on the corner of my brush, and I'm just going to start little short brush strokes with the edge of my brush. So I'm not pressing it flat this way and making a square. I've got white on my brush, a little tiny bit of black on the corner, and I'm using the edge of my brush to make these little small brush strokes. I'm not over brushing. I'm not going to keep brushing and brushing until everything is flat, solid gray. I want to see those little brush strokes, and I'm going to leave them. So I've got white on my brush. I'm going to take a little bit of my dark brown, and I'm going to come in with that. Same thing, just that hint right around the outside edge. A little more white on my brush, a little hint of black, come back again. And I'm just going to give my brush a quick rinse. I'm going to do the same thing for his cheek. White paint, same brush. I'll do my white first. Short little brush strokes. Let it overlap your black. Then you do white, a little hint of black on the corner of your brush, not too much. And we're just coming along the edge. I'm going to rinse my brush a little bit there now. And I'm going to go back with just white. So you can see, guys, there's a lot of little layers to this. Take your time. If you find yourself getting too dark gray and what we want white, rinse your brush, pat it dry, start again. If you try to cover gray, wet gray with white, you're just going to get more wet gray, okay? So that's my white done. Now I want to flick a little more of just black down through it. So I'm going to move to my small, flat, angled brush. So if you don't have an angle brush, a really small, flat brush will do, or your little round brush will also make these little lines. So I'm dipping my brush in my water, and I'm coming to my black just to make another little bit of black that's kind of slightly runny. And I'm just going to make a few little tiny small lines. So I've done that around his cheek, and now I'll do a few around his breast. Almost comes down in a point. More black, reload your brush. A little more, and we'll do a final little bit. This time I'm going to take a little bit of black and white and just kind of mix together. Make that little bit of gray there, guys. I'm just going to take that little bit of gray and just go over where that edge of that wing meets right here. Alrighty, so I know I've left the eye out, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to paint that eye in black. My small little angle brush I'm using, but you can use your little round brush if you want. And I kind of just left that edge, see that little white edge around the eye? Then I'm going to take that number 4 round brush and a little bit of, just a little tiny hint of gray. I've got a really pointy tip on this brush. So it's not pure white, it's just kind of a light gray I'm using. And I'll just touch a little outline around the eye. And I'm just wiping the tip of my brush off, and I'm going to just stick it in just white paint. And I'm going to give him just a little dot on the eye. While we have the white on, just go back to a little hint of gray, and you can go ahead and add a little hint of gray, then a little black for the beak. Just gives it a little touch of a highlight right on the beak. There we go. So that's his little eye, just did black, little touch of gray around the outside edge, and a little white dot for that shine in his eye. Then I did a little gray and black on his beak just for a little highlight. So we're just going to leave him for now. We're going to do the little bit of detail on our tree branch. Going back to my 1/4 inch flat brush, any small flat brush will be fine. And we're going to take some of our dark brown and a little bit of black this time and mix a little bit of that together. So that's a bit of dark brown, a little bit of black, and a hint of white. So it just gives us kind of a dusty, light brownish color. And we're just going to start brushing this down our tree, and it's a fairly dry brush. It's dry, and you can kind of see through parts of it, and it just gives our tree a little texture, our branch a little texture. And we'll keep layering these colors until we kind of get it light enough. But notice what I'm not doing, guys. Just put my light a little better. I'm not brushing and brushing and brushing and brushing and brushing. I'm just taking a little bit of brown, a little bit of black, and a little bit of white, and just kind of lightly brush over our first layer of just black. And it just gives our branch some texture, some lightness. Not using any water with this. I'm just lightly brushing, leaving my brush strokes in the paint so I can see that texture on my branch. I'm going to keep layering a little bit by little bit until I kind of get it to the lightness that I want. Gradually getting lighter and lighter until we get about there, I think. I think that's good. So now we have to do his little feet. I'm going to go back to my number 4 round brush. I'm going to do them in just black. But first what I'm going to do, because we're going to overlap them on our tree branch, I'm going to give this a blast with my hair dryer just so I kind of dry this little bit of brown here. Okay, so the first thing I'll do, I'll dip my number 4 round brush in water, and then I'm going to take just my black paint and I know I had a little foot just about here, and he's got one little toe there, then he's got a big one in the middle. And then he's got another little one clinging there. So that's one foot. You can't see the leg because it's tucked under. And then he's got one coming down from right about here. And one part is going to go behind the tree that he's holding on with. And then you're going to have a big one, a middle one there, and then another right here. So we do them in black first. And then we're going to touch a little bit of white on them just to kind of give them a little highlight. Same round brush and a little white. I'm just going to come to them. My black is still wet, so it should blend in good. I'm going to keep the lightness to one side. A little touch there, a little touch on his little toe there. And we'll do the same here, just a little white, blends it in. So the next thing I want to do, I want to kind of finish out underneath his belly. I'm going to give it another blast with the hair dryer just to help the legs kind of dry a little. Go back to my 1/4 inch flat brush. And first I'm going to take a little bit of just white paint, and I'm just going to start feathering down. So I'm using the edge of my brush. I'm going to come over where I did that leg. Just want to give him a nice fluffy bottom to his belly. And I'm going to take just a hint of that gray that we got on our plate too. So it's very, very light gray. A little more white. White helps everything kind of blend in. And a little bit of white just on the edge of that brush. I'm just going to give him another little touch of white right down the left side, just for another little highlight down the left. You can switch to your smaller brush if you need to for that. So before I kind of end off, what I want to do now is just give a little highlight to the top of his head. So it's in black. Everything is just black up here. So I'm going to give it another just little quick touch of black over everything. Still using that small flat brush. Then I'm going to leave the black on my brush, and I'm just going to take a small little bit of kind of this gray. We don't want it too light. So it's a very, very dark gray, and just make little small brush strokes in the direction of his feathers. And that gives just a little kind of sheen to the top of his head and lets us see that kind of fluffy feather look. And we'll do the same on this black down here. So I'm just going to touch black first, and then a little hint of our gray. Not too much. And we'll do the same again on his little wing that's tucked back behind. Here. Black, then a little hint of gray. And the way he's perched, his tail is probably sticking straight back out from him, so you can't see the tail. And they don't have an overly long tail anyway. So his little tail is, when they sit, their tail points straight back behind them. So his little tail is pointing straight back, so we can't even see it. And there is our little chickadee with our kind of mossy green background. So guys, thanks for watching, and there'll be more new videos soon. See you next time.